All right. This is the impromptu Jesus-led conversation that is happening. Literally, things have been so crazy between Chloe and I today. This is the second time we have had synchronicities. And let me just tell you, Chloe and I, yes, we've done an interview together. We've been on each other's Facebooks for a while, but it's not like her and I are like super, we don't like do DMs. We're not like super connected in that way. At least maybe we will be now, but I mean,
our souls are apparently.
yeah. And it's like, I was looking at her page today and I was like, you know, your energy and one of my other clients and friends, energy is like almost identical. And so I tagged that person, and that person's name is Sam. And Chloe was like, I have been literally hearing and seeing the word Sam, and I couldn't figure out what that was all about. And then she was like, now I get what it was about.
Yeah.
That was the first fucking thing that happened today. And then the second thing that happened was this, I almost said Jesus bullshit. Well, maybe it's bullshit. We're on our Jesus bullshit today. I love it.
That's right. Right.
Ooh, I think I want a t-shirt that says on my Jesus bullshit again.
Bullshit. Yes, me too. Oh, I'm writing that down. And then you have to sign it. Like,
yeah, I'm on my Jesus bullshit again. Yes.
On my Jesus.
Yes.
Bullshit. I love that.
Yes. So yeah, this happened where I had done was this my post that I was how did this come about? I don't remember.
You made a post about saying
that I love Jesus.
Jesus.
Oh,
that is all. Continue with your day. And I was like, yes, you do. Yes.
Yeah. So Chloe was like, Chloe's had like actually many near-death experiences. How many of you had?
10 plus. I say 10. But I know that it's a few more, because it was crazy as a few of them have been like recycled. I'm like, did I not learn my lesson like the first 3 times? You know,
what the
yeah, dude. And I thought this was normal. I thought this was everybody's normal. I thought everybody's just walking around having all these near-death experiences, all these crazy spiritual connections. Like, I just thought this was everyone's normal. No, apparently it's not.
No, definitely not. So yeah. So she happens to mention, she's like, oh, I had a Jesus near-death experience, and it's because of Jesus that I was able to make it through the veil and like come out of like programming, because he was the one that helped me. And I was like, I'm obsessed with anything Jesus. Okay. So I talk nonstop about The Chosen. Have you seen The Chosen yet?
Mm-mm.
Okay, you got to fucking see that show. Okay,
sure.
I do post after post about it. Have you seen my post?
I've seen your post about it. Yes, I have seen your post. I
don't know. I'm just gonna talk about it very briefly. But for those that don't fucking know, last year I was introduced to a TV show. I was actually an app. It's a show on an app called The Chosen, and it's the story of Jesus. But it's not. Yes, it's your typical story of Jesus, but the way they've done it has taken the world by storm. It has spiritual people and Christians and everybody that believes coming together over this amazing show. And it actually made, for a couple of the episodes, it made it into the actual theaters. And it actually, at one point, was in top 3, like beating out like Marvel movies. Like, I'm not even kidding. And recently was in the theater again for the last 2 episodes of season 3, and it got into top 10. So my relationship with Jesus skyrocketed when I saw this show. And I tell psychics and healers specifically, I mean, especially, that they should watch this, because there's things that Jesus says that really, really hit home with how we are and how we relate to things. And it's just beautiful. Please go watch it. So all the episodes are full length. They're free. You can go to
Chosen. It's called The Chosen.
Called The Chosen. You can go on your app store
right now.
Go on your app store, or you can go to angel.com. I don't know how the fuck they got that website, but okay.
How was that not taken already?
Right. So angel.com is where you'll find The Chosen. There's also all these other really cool shows that but The Chosen's on there. And they're all free. So go watch. And anyway, my whole point to this is, ever since I had that connection with him, which I've always had some connection, it's been insane for me. Like, if I talk too much about him, I fucking like bawl my face off. Like today I cried at the window, just being like, I love you. Thank you. Just like literally just like, that's why I wrote the fucking post, because I was like, I just really love Jesus. I don't even know where it was even coming from. I just fucking love him so much. And he's like my biggest guide. Like, I can't see and hear spirit, but I feel him, obviously. And I know him in my life and my heart, like, so deeply. And every day I ask him to come into my life, come into my heart, and lead us where we're supposed to go together. Every day I say that. So yeah. So when she said this, I was like, Oh yes, I want to hear that story right now. Right now.
Like immediately right now. What are you doing
Yeah.
right now?
And so she's like, what are you thinking? I was like, now?
Now's a good time for
You wanna
me.
do it now? Because I don't know. Yeah. So she totally was like, yeah, okay, let's do it. I was like, oh, I just love that she's so on board with that and was like totally like, yeah,
And
let's
typically I'm not. Listen, I'm not a person who's really, I'm pushing past it, but I'm not great with the talking and the people and the being on the computer, like being the sender. Like I like the behind the scenes. So I was like, okay, like give me a
do it
couple
for
days to
Jesus,
prepare.
girlfriend.
No, I was like, it's for Jesus. We're doing it right now.
Yes, I love it. Okay, so yeah, so let's go ahead and jump in now that we've done some sort of a little bit of an intro here of some sort. But yes, tell us the story of your NDE regarding Jesus, Chloe.
Right. So it was my last near-death experience, which was March of last year, actually. I was headed to Orlando to get my accreditation as a speaker and a life coach through the Maxwell Leadership Team. And 30 minutes from my destination, I was in a hit and run that totaled my car, broke my hip in 2 places, fractured my ribs. I had internal bleeding, and I was in the hospital for a week.
Oh my God.
So worst pain ever. But this near-death experience was different for me, which, like you said, I've had several, and each one come with like different pieces, which I'll talk about at a different time. But listen, first of all, I want to say Jesus has always been my main man. I've never been a religious person. Now that I look at it, I'm very grateful. I kind of grew up in like a witchy spiritual family that let me find my way. My mom would say, Jesus is my main man. That's my best friend. That's my boyfriend. That was her boyfriend. You didn't tell her, yeah, that's my boyfriend. That's exactly how she would say it. Jesus is my boyfriend. But she didn't force me. She didn't force that. So we were more spiritual than religious. So I've always had like these spiritual gifts, and Jesus, I would call on Jesus all the time. Like I would get sleep paralysis, and in my head, I would say Jesus, and I would get out of it. And every time after that, when I'd finally get in a place of getting in that sleep paralysis, that you have to like be touched or something to move, get out.
I have to go back to sleep. I have to literally
Right.
just have to go back to sleep because I can't get out.
I don't know if I was about to say, I don't know if you ever had it, but to like have it and
Many
to
times.
just like, yeah. So I finally, at a younger age, I realized to talk to Jesus. Jesus was immediately, it stopped like immediately. And so I would call out spirits,
Power in the name of Jesus. It's a worship song I hear all the time. Yes.
And that's so true. Like, and that's not even like, again, like a religious, whatever, like there's literal power.
Yep.
In the name of Jesus. And coming from someone who didn't grow up in the church, but Jesus was my best friend. He was the person I called on, or the entity or whatever I called on every time. And every time it worked. It just happened. Like it actually happened. Anyway, so I can go crazy about Jesus too. So I'm in Orlando, and it was weird. It was because it was like I was seeing myself still on earth, but then seeing myself beyond it. And I'm going to try to remember all of it because it's so great. So I remember that my body was falling down onto the earth, becoming one with nature. Like I was literally like digging into the earth, becoming one with nature. My body was, but my soul was being transcended up. And my angels were all around, and I could hear them speaking I could hear all of these angels speaking, but they were singing in like this high frequency, this beautiful tune, but in my head they were speaking to me like that, like they were singing but speaking. Does that make sense?
They were singing,
so I could hear them. Right. So they were singing a beautiful tune, but in my head I could hear them. You've got this, keep going. You've got this, keep going. Now they couldn't touch me, they couldn't help me, whatever, but they could support me. Okay. Well, I'm in this moment, and then all of a sudden I'm transcended even beyond that. Like body is here, soul's there. I don't even know. I transcended out of it. And I saw there was it was a source of like this, the brightest light you can even imagine. It was the brightest light and the most soulgasmic is what I call it. It was like a soulgasm. Okay. Everything was gasming. I mean, like,
yeah.
It was so good. And it kept flowing. The energy was like, it was like an infinity. It just kept flowing. I fell back kind of down. I just remember coming back down and then taking, it took me 3 times, oddly enough, to like stand up in my power sort of thing. Like I remember like it took me one time, I couldn't do it. I was like, I like laying here. Like it feels good to just be asleep.
Hmm.
And then the second time I was like a deer and my legs were shaky and I kind of stood up, and then I fell again. And then the third time I like jolted up and was trying to hold it. My angels were giving me guidance, but I felt a push behind me. Something pushed me like pushed behind me, and I knew it was Jesus. Like I felt I knew it was Jesus. Pushed me through this veil. Then I transited back up, in which I saw that source again, and I saw myself living 1,000 lives like simultaneously. Like
Wow.
at the same time, it was going like this way, and I could see every life at the same time just happening. And again, that soulgasm, it was so good until it became painful. It became so painful. And then I heard like 15 different voices, which is the second time I've heard these voices tell me, this is too much for the human heart. Only when it is fully healed will you ascend to the highest level possible. Until then, you must go back down.
Yeah.
So I knew I had to go back down, but they were telling me like to get to this point, to get to the flow of God's source that is there is no beginning and there is no end. It just isn't. It's so good. When they say like you don't know how much God loves you, like you really don't know. But that's forever, right? Like it's forever. So it's so intense, but my angels were trying to help me get to this point, and they couldn't actually do anything, and I couldn't stand up, and it was seemingly taking me forever. And Jesus, like I started to say Jesus, Jesus in my head. I remember going Jesus, 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 like that's all I would think repeatedly, like Jesus, Jesus. And then all of a sudden I pushed through the veil, and then I heard the second coming of Christ is here. And then I saw it over and over again, like someone was writing it on a chalkboard. The second coming of Christ is here. The second coming of Christ is here. And it was just like, it just kept going on and on and on. And I just could hear this music and this tune and this great big light. It was like the most blinding light, and a switch happened. And we were like in this like second earth. But the chosen ones, and I guess I was chosen in this, or at least in this, I ascended out of the earth completely. And when I looked around, it was like I didn't see like, wall like golden, whatever, they talk about in heaven. Like it was blue as far as the eye can see, like in the ocean. Like if I was in the bottom of the ocean, and there were these beings like tall giants and small and all sizes and everything. And they're like, you did it. You did it. We did it. We did. And we were just cheering. We were so just extraordinary because we became God again.
God, it's like making me teary-eyed. Yeah.
We
Wow.
were the chosen ones that woke up. So like, man is God asleep and God is man awake. And we all woke up. We all woke up. We all, and all of our vets, because we said a while ago, like I always say, Jesus, I am your vessel. Lead me where you need me. Lead me where you need me. And that it was funny is even in that knowing me, like I was like the last one to show up for this. I'm like, that's about right, Jesus. He's like, I got you. Like, he had to help me, of course. But yeah, I didn't actually get to like see Jesus. I saw my angels, they were beautiful, and I saw all the other beings, but Jesus was more of he was the flow of love. He just was that unconditional. He was the source. He was the way. And so I broke through the veil and I was able to be a part of this. And before that, there was programming, and it was like circular. It was, you ever like 3 o'clock in the morning when the TVs used to be static,
Yes.
right? So that's how it was. It was like I had started off at this point where like it was going like static, going this way and going this way and going up and down. And it was just a huge, like a wall, right? Of just this static doing that. That was the programming. That was the matrix, the programming. I'm just now realizing this now when I think about what I saw. It was the programming, and Jesus helped push me through that. And it was love. Love is what got me through.
Oh,
Jesus,
his love.
Yeah,
Yeah.
his love. Jesus is the way. And that's again not a religious thing, because I'm like,
No, I'm not religious either.
like just love like Jesus. Jesus just loved everybody without judgment. That's it. Like stop putting your judgments on it. But it was Jesus's love, and he has saved me more than once.
Yeah.
But it was extraordinary. Like when life gets too rough, I remember that. Like I'm like, oh, the actual truth is that we go back to this, and I'm just meant to help other people to heal their hearts so that they can also be a part of this. Because God, I'm not kidding when I tell you, to get to be in that forever, it is worth every bad thing we go through, every pain, every heartache, every terrible thing that could ever happen. And I know people don't want to hear that, but it's true. It sounds like every bad thing you can think of ever doesn't even compare to what the source that we go back to.
And
It is
I'm getting the message that, and I'm sure you're going to be like, yeah, duh. And I'm sure other people will too, but whatever. That feeling of like, this is one of the reasons why when we get asked to come back to earth, we probably are like, I don't care, send me there, because you know what you're going back to. It's not, yes, it's going to be painful, but it's why we do keep saying yes over and over again to coming back to earth, because you do know what you're going back to.
exactly.
Yeah.
You need that evolution. Like your soul know, like before we get here, we know what we're gonna go through. We know, but we forget, but Jesus helps us to remember.
Yeah. Well, and Jesus is also human. It's like one of the things I literally was talking to God
That part.
yesterday. Yeah. And was it yesterday? The days are so weird. Yesterday, the day before. And I was saying to God that like, I still feel like really like when I call you in, it just feels fucking huge. It feels so big that I can't really fully resonate with you. I really haven't ever been able to fully resonate with you. And the reason I can with Jesus, I don't know if you've seen The Shack before, but Jesus says, yeah, it's easier because I'm human. So he's this really conduit. And I think that Jesus is the way. In my opinion, the message I get is because love is the way, and Jesus is a physical manifestation of love. If you think about love, because people talk about how Jesus like flipped over tables and shit, and he got pissed around some things. And if you think, love can be tough, love can be hard, love can be these things. So he really is this whole spectrum of love in a tangible form as human. It's a human form of love. It's just, yeah. And that love is the way. Jesus is the way.
Exactly. And from someone who, again, I didn't know what religion taught Jesus to be. I just knew him as this, like you said, as this being that was just there unconditionally, like loving me through these things, just there.
Yeah. Like all never ending, like just always like, yeah. Like I used to get really, even today I had a screaming fucking fest at God and Jesus too, I guess, but it was more just like, I was just really pissed about some things and I needed to fucking say them out loud. And I felt like ever since my connection with him through that show, I feel like I don't ever actually scream at them, because a lot of people are just like, what are you doing? Where's my shit? I've been doing all these things and you're not fucking listening. You're abandoning me. It's like, I don't do any of that anymore. Now it's more just like, I know what I deserve, so fucking bring that to me. And it's never actually ever directed at them ever, because it doesn't even work that way. It doesn't even. Right. So yeah.
Well, Jesus is an ascended master, like Buddha, Mother Teresa, all of like they figured out the way. Like this, it's not like you're gonna go to hell if you don't do this. It's kind of heaven and hell is whatever. It's sort of, he helps you to just get to heaven by be like Jesus, love like Jesus.
Yeah.
Not saying like
as much as you can, right? Like I took that to a whole different level when my ex fucking cheated on me, and I was like, well, I want to love you like Jesus would. And then I fucking ended up staying, and it was horrible. So I think there is also a certain extent of that saying, that you don't just love and forgive. I mean, you can forgive everyone when you're ready, but and you can love everybody, even despite not, forgiving somebody or whatever too, like for sure. But you're right. It is really about trying to see things from a point of love, trying to see the love in something. And love is still and especially in even your stronger emotions. Like we talk, I but I get to help women through sacred rage, and Jacqueline and I talk about it all the time. And anger is one of the highest forms of love you can possibly have. It really fucking is. And people don't look at, they're afraid of it. If they would realize that it's one of the highest forms of love, because it's trying to protect you, and it's trying to create things for you, and it's trying to push you to be your greatest and make you angry when you're supposed to, so you can, stick up for yourself and others and create a revolution within yourself and your life. Like that's the highest form of love. So it's important to try to see the love in everything that you're doing, for sure, and yourself.
I definitely agree.
Yeah. Wow, that was such a powerful fucking story.
I know I forgot stuff because I was trying to like, and I'll just message you about that stuff later. Like
Yeah.
there's definitely more to it I can think about even right now, but girl, Jesus, he's the way.
I love it. Well, I really appreciate you coming on board and talking about him and sharing your story. I know it was really important to me and to a lot of other people, and just to hear, you know, where we go back to. I think as psychics and healers, we do know this, but always to hear confirmation of it is always just such a beautiful gift. So just thanking Jesus for bringing you and I together, and thinking that he
had a
showed
plan.
up, yeah, in these beautiful ways, so that he could, you know, also be spread throughout the world and Facebook land through your story and through my voice as well. So just feel very grateful.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
All right, babe. Till next time. Bye, everyone. Okay, hold on here.